get you set up. See, I don't even know if this is going to work. Let's see how we go, shall we? The idea is that I can leave you here and you can still hear me. That's the idea. But you've got to put them to the test and see if it works properly. And that's what we do for it. It's still not working. I think I'm missing a piece. I think I'm missing the dongle, the little dongle that attaches to iPhone. I've got Shelley's son on the case to try and work it out, but he'll just laugh at me and say, because it's Apple, you should buy Android. Like you do, Cal, you know what I mean? 6 hours sleep. And he's had me up. Because he doesn't know time, he needs to get out. Last night, I had a chat last night. It was nice, I met somebody last night. When I was at work. A lady called Anne from Glasgow. She's out on holiday with Tommy, her husband. And I think it was a daughter that was with her as well. I didn't get the daughter's name. We got chatting outside Dylan's last night when the app was on. She was lovely. And she brought back a story to me that I remember, and I told her stuff. She was out having a secret, she was out having a crafty fag. And afterwards, after the story, I said, look, are you alright if I use it for the vlog? And she's like, yeah, don't worry about it. My husband knows, really. He secretly knows. But we were talking about cigarettes and that. But it took me about 19 years, this. You all know I got out of golf. That was my first life. And to be honest with you, in golf, I made a lot of money. The trouble is I made a lot of money far too young. And I was a person that never had money before in the first place. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to take it to the next level. Go big, you know what I mean? Because I was an entrepreneur. Had a business, driving range, had staff working for me. And I'm trying to take it to the next level. See, it's a dog's pulling. 2 seconds. Maybe swap hands. That's better. I got involved with a friend who I was teaching at golf. A very successful friend, a guy called Case Smith. And Case had he had garden furniture shop in the east of Holland, and I'm not talking about a little shop. This guy's shop was big. He was a big deal in the east. Him and his brother, actually. His brother was also, I think his brother was at the time, was the president of FC Twente. Or no, Heracles, which is the football club in Almelo in Holland. People are waking up now. And hola, buenas. ¿Qué tal? Hey! Rollo's mate. Rollo's new mate. Come here. No. This way today. Come on, this way. His new mate. Trouble has got my hands full. Come on, this way. So anyway, we decided. It's hard work doing it with a dog. So anyway, we decided to go into partnership together. I was coming to Tenerife to live. Golf was not really fulfilling me. And I decided we'd sort out a shipping container and get it over to Tenerife with garden furniture. And he'd help set me up in business over here. And I'd open up a garden furniture shop. I think it was just a balmy idea that I had with my ex. Split decision moment, you know. Yeah, let's do it. I can always get back into golf. Which you can't. It passes you by. Once it's gone, it's gone. We packed up Holland, came to Tenerife, and I went looking for a location. And about 6 weeks later, a shipping container turns up full of the garden furniture. The problem was it was at the time around about just after the crash, I think it was. So Tenerife was actually struggling, and I didn't know that, because you come to a new place, you don't know that really, do you? And I went too big too soon, far too big too soon. I found a place in just at the top of Golf del Sur, and it was massive. And I thought, yeah, that's it, because I had grand ideas, you know. And took the rent on for this place. The container turns up. Within 2 weeks, you absolutely know you've made a mistake. So you take a year's rent, but within 2 weeks, after the first 2 weeks, you're spending the rest of your time desperately trying to get out of it to minimise your losses. I think at the end, my losses came to about 150 grand of my own money gone. And that was the first time really that it was the first decision I made really. I think that was the wrong decision. 100% know it was the wrong decision. Listening to some people, getting bad advice off people, and not realising it, getting stung. So I think on that, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're on the hill as always. We'll carry it on when he's off his lead. That's better. I've always heard that successful people, entrepreneurs, it didn't really bother me at the time because, as I say, you always hear they go, it's all right, I've been broke a couple of times. I went broke a couple of times before I really made it. Obviously, you didn't want to go broke, but I thought, oh, this must be my first go broke moment. So don't panic about it, you know. And it's what's actually happened is this is when I left Tenerife and decided to come back to the UK with the tail between my legs. And then got into car sales because you've got the security and comfort of a PLC, then haven't you? You've got a set wage. And when I've got 2 young kids at 4 years old and 6 months old, that security is something that you definitely needed. So hence the reason why I got into car sales. But anyway, that was the crux was I was trying to get to the next level. I was trying to go from being a golf pro, successful golf pro, to take myself to the next level where I actually, you know, succeeded as a millionaire, let's say. Because this guy that I went into partnership with, clearly he's definitely a millionaire. So that's really the story how I went broke. I went too big too soon. I took a massive outlay on a building. The building was far too big, the rent was far too high, and that took all my money, and then the sales didn't come in. So it's, you know, simple story. However, what actually happened in that time was I had a lot of dead hours. See what he's up to. I had a lot of dead hours in the shop, in the garden furniture shop. And one day, a friend of my sister's, who's a local news reporter for the local newspaper, she came in and she saw I was smoking a cigarette. And she went, do you know what it is? She went, I've stopped smoking. I've read a book and I've stopped smoking. And I'm like, just genuine chit chat and conversation. I went, I'm very pleased for you. She went, I'll give you the book. I'm like, right, okay, didn't think anything of it. And then 2 days later, she comes back in. Rollo, come here. 2 days later, she comes back in. And she puts this book on the table for me. And the book was The Easy Way to Stop Smoking by Alan Carr. Now, it's not the comedian Alan Carr. It's some American author who wrote a book, used to smoke 100 cigarettes a day, and he wrote this book and he stopped smoking and wrote this book. And she gave me this book and she said, look, the great thing about it is when you're reading it, you don't have to stop smoking, just read it. I'm like, all right, no problem. And I put it to the side. Didn't really think much else of it, you know what I mean? Didn't think much else of it. But then over the next couple of days, the boredom kicks in at work because of the lack of clientele. And it's the unproductive hours that kill you in work. I always believe that. Let's get the lead back on him again because we're going back near the road. I decided to pick this book up whilst having a cigarette, funnily enough. Spinning me around. So this is what the conversation was about last night, to be honest with you. This is what it was on about. It was about, she came out for that crafty fag, a cigarette, and I said, look, I read a book once. She went, did you? I went, yeah, I told her about it. You're a bit skew-whiff here. And I told her about this book, and I said, look, same thing again. Alan Carr, the comedian, went, no. The one that I don't even really remember now when, you know, somebody says, how long have you stopped smoking? Before that, somebody used to say to me, it's like, you know, I used to say to people, I've stopped smoking. How long for? And I went, 1 week, 3 days, 4 hours and 27 minutes. Do us a favour, blow that smoke in my face. oh yeah, I've stopped smoking. And it never worked. The great thing about this book was that it was so psychological. Yeah, it was so psychological. It was fascinating. And it wasn't important. Just by the sounds of it, by the way, this is where he pulls me up the hill. Look at this. This cat's at the top of the hill, and he knows this cat's at the top of the hill. So he helps me up here. That's why I can still talk to you, because he pulls me up the hill to get to the cats, but he does sound like a serial killer. You might hear that on camera. So anyway, this book, even to this day, right, this is the most important sentence that I got out of this book, and that I will most probably take with me to my grave and I'll never forget. And it was all about the need for a cigarette. The need. If you're a smoker, you'll understand what I mean. If you've never smoked in your life, you won't understand this. But if you're a smoker, you know. Cigarette when you first wake up. Cigarette after a meal. Cigarette when you're over with a drink. And he came out with a fantastic sentence. And he says, why does a smoker feel the need to have a cigarette to reach a place a non-smoker is already at? It's great, that, isn't it? It's fascinating. Why does a smoker feel the need to have a cigarette to reach the place a non-smoker is already at? And I found that, honestly, I found it fascinating. It's such a true statement. It's like, you need a cigarette to reach a place. Oh, stop. You need a cigarette to reach a place where I'm already at. Doesn't make sense. And that's the one thing I'll always remember from the book. I think, for honest with you, I think that book most probably saved my life. I've been smoking for 19 years. I started when I was 14. I've been smoking for 19. And I used to love a cigarette. I used to love it. I used to think, because I was the golf professional on the fairway with a cigarette in my mouth, looking like the golfers of old, like Lee Trevino, you know, those sort of people. I used to love it. I used to think, yeah, I was cool at that. I used to hang off my bag, stand in a certain way while I'm looking to see what decision I'm going to make with a cigarette off my lip. You look back and you just don't realise, like now when the kids you see vaping all the way in the bars and stuff, you just don't realise when you're that age. And just you hope that, you know, they get the decision soon and realise, come to the senses. Because eventually everybody does. But this, Anne, I was telling her about it, and it's just like, she found it quite interesting, so hence the reason I carried on talking to her about it. So nice to meet you, Anne. I suggested you go and you buy the book. I have never ever been, I can honestly say, I always remember when I was younger, I was about 19, 20, I was in Holland, and you know, I was teaching the elite of the Dutch world, because golf was the fastest growing sport in Holland, but I'm going to say the rich people played it first, because it was an expensive sport. And I was actually, one of the people I was teaching was a psychotherapist. And I remember sitting in the clubhouse at Golf Club Zwolle. It hadn't even been built yet, it was like a porter cabin really, but the clubhouse was about to be built. And the guy started having a conversation with me. And after 5 or 10 minutes, I went, hang on a minute, mate, you're actually psychoanalyzing me here. And he started laughing. He says, I just can't help it, it's what I do. So we had a coffee, got up and I just left. I'd just given him a golf lesson. I got up and moved on because I had another lesson anyway. But that's the reason why I always think, yeah, I can't be played to, I can't be tricked to. Yet this book, it played to me and it tricked me, but in such a good way that that I'm now a non-smoker. And I've been a non-smoker for 19 years now. It doesn't bother me to the point where I can stand around smokers, you know, because people say there's nothing worse than somebody who stops smoking. And in some instances I can believe it's true, but to me, no, it's absolutely fine. 19 years ago was a day where I lost everything financially, but 19 years ago, at the same time, was most probably a time that created a completely different life, an outlook on my life that could have ended disastrously, really. So what do? Sacrifice well for your health? Would you sacrifice well for your health? I think I would all day long. I think I would, all day long. Right. We need to talk about subscription count, people. As always. Still a lot of you not subscribed. There's a little button there, it's free to do it. It doesn't cost you anything. And it means the world, because the growth of a channel is my new nicotine fix. So if you want to hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. as always, if you hit that subscribe button in the comments section below, just click done. And if you're a newbie, welcome to the team. As always, you know what to do. See you on the next one.